All right, Robert, the one guy. So, good, nice to meet you. What are you going to sing?
These Little.
Okay, all right.
Robert is getting ready to audition for transferring to a conservatory. So this.
Awesome. So where are you now?
I go to community college in Maryland.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Good.
Also very new to classical music.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you have heard a lot so far. So if you remember any of it, do it, try, do not judge, and just, again, throw it against the wall, see if it sticks or not. What did you do before you started singing? Did you sing other style or?
I did. I mean, I play violin.
Okay.
So I do classical music a little bit.
Alright.
I did music before this.
Okay. All right. Good. And in music theater, what were you doing? Were you a belter? Were you?
I was a very soft-spoken, like nobody ever thought that he did sound better than me.
Okay.
It's just very light and
how is it at home? How are your parents talking? Do they speak the same way? Soft?
I mean, not really, but it's
You know, it's very often it's cultural. I have someone who is actually a Wagnerian soprano, who, and I mean, she's big and generous in so many ways. And when she starts singing, every time she sings loud, she kind of apologizes, basically. And her parents were always saying, she's this big. Are we gonna call Butch? And then her parents were always like, no, come on, be more ladylike. No, you can't be that loud. And then all of a sudden she apologizes for everything. So very often, and also I have a tenor that I work with who for years did not go back home because they had the man cave where the brothers and the dad would always go and watch sports. Go, yeah, man, that's awesome. And they would call, speaking vocal fry all the time. And so that messed him up every time he went back home. All right, now, are you a soft-spoken guy because you're soft-spoken, or?
I think that's probably it. Just, I like to think I'm a low-key person.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't want, would that bother you to be differently, to behave slightly differently vocally or not?
No, I would rather have a voice and be louder than I am.
Okay. All right, when is the audition?
Well, I mean, this school year we'll be looking
Okay,
at.
so it's not any time near. Okay, all right.
And we're looking at art song repertoire as well.
Okay,
This is,
all right. Then we're gonna go a little bit more mechanical here. Can you grab the top of your larynx, the very top? Do not squeeze and strangle yourself, but grab the top and lower it. You might feel a click when you do it. Talk to me. Yeah? Okay, say, my name is Robert.
My name is Robert.
Okay, put it lower. My name is Robert.
My name is Robert.
Okay, you're not pulling low enough. So grab the top. I'm not going to do it to you. I'm not a voice teacher. Grab the top and then come. You lower it. Yeah? Okay. Start singing. Okay, it's much better, but you're going to do the same thing and put your tongue at the same time. It's your larynx is set too high. This is why. It's not a question of you're born with little volume or not. It's just the larynx is a little bit high. There's less space because the tongue bunches at the back, and there's not enough opening. So you cultivated that small sound that's very pretty. But the reason I asked you earlier, what did you do before? I was expecting you to tell me that you were a voice soprano at some point.
I sing all the time, but
There you go. But this is not a function of necessarily how you're born. So let's just grab this, pull the tongue out. Not going to be fun, but yeah. No, you grab the tongue and look. Grab the tongue and pull it out. Yeah. Okay. And then larynx. Grab it. Lower it. It's not going to be fun. Lower it. Just started pulling back and wanted to go back in. But did you notice? It's funny, huh? So I mean, you're not funny, but the difference is actually staggering. It's a funny mechanism because you think, oh, this is who I am, this is how I'm born, etc. And then you realize that a simple mechanical adjustment, again, it's like releasing the handbrakes on the car. You go, whoa, it drives freely. Now, that's a work that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to reset, stretch the tongue and the larynx. But this is something that you can do until the body itself starts this trapezoidal muscle here that can center it down. So you're going to feel like you have a fat neck, basically. Until the muscles do it on your behalf, never do it with the back of the tongue. Otherwise you're going to achieve the exact opposite of what you want to. How did that feel to you? What did you hear?
when I went high, like I was yelling.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's your voice. It feels like you're yelling because you're not used to that volume. But that's a tenor voice that all of a sudden came out, basically. Now, if you were trying to, if I was telling you just use more volume, you would probably push against, a closed embouchure. It's like the garden hose, right? You restrict the embouchure and this pressure that builds in. All right, let's go back from the beginning. Now, this builtness, you're going to do the exact same thing, tongue out, larynx as down as you can, but be gentle to yourself. If you leave bruises, it's okay. It's not me, at least. Okay, release everything now. Okay, how did that feel? There were some pretty good things in there. Yeah? Okay, so see, that's where the cultural stuff comes in, basically, is that if it's sort of, you can always cure the symptoms, and then, you know, if the real cause, it's, girls, it's always the same thing. They end up, you know, going like that. It's either timidity or boobs or whatnot. And all of a sudden they're 40, they're still like that. And you tell them stand up straight, but they can't because, you know, and so you need to go back to something else in order to release that mechanism, basically. So for you, you're gonna have to agree that singing is actually an extreme art form, and it's actually loud. I mean, my wife, I've probably lost some hearing on my right side because she sometimes comes next to me. She usually covers my ears when she has to look at it, but sometimes she forgets it rings after, for a couple of hours sometimes after. And there are some, last time I worked with a true dramatic soprano. When I say true, is that there are lots of people that consider themselves dramatic and they come and, you know, I should be coming deaf in the studio. And it was a girl called Gabi Schnaut, and we did an opera called Die Frau de Châtel at the Met, and we had to wear earplugs in a room that was, I mean, it's a huge room, you can put 5 orchestra in that room. We all had to wear earplugs because that voice was humongous. But you should see the woman, it's barrel chested, and it's a voice that kicks in at double forte, and then it goes to quintuple forte after that. Now, this is an extreme, she was a freak. But most of the dramatics that you hear are just singers, even if it's light lyric. It can be placed in a small way, but it's still a very, very generous physical mechanism that gets in place, basically. So you might have to reset the thinking you have about volume, basically. And it needs to get out of your body. It just needs to go out, because otherwise it's pretty, but you keep it to yourself, but it's an art form that you share, basically. So, all right, let's go on. So try to find the opening on your own now. It's sort of that stretch. You know where the soft palate is? Do you know how to stretch it? So what, you know the society yawn, when you yawn in front of someone, you don't want to open your mouth, it's the pre-yawn. It opens everything. So open the back, and then okay, so here's, you sounded really like a tenor, and you are in a great place now. You can, your real instrument is not really known yet. We just got a glimpse earlier. That sounded like a nice, you know, light German tenor, and yet there was still a little bit of tension in it. So I think that it's going to be a little bit more than that, but you're not a light thing. You're not. I'm sorry to bring it to you if that changes your identity, but there's considerably more than that, and you're not. You clearly will be able to use the voix mixte if you want to do Pearl Fisher in one of those arias later. That's good, but right now just open it up. Be open to whatever is going to come out, even if it's a bass voice. It's not, but be open to the unknown, basically, and don't try to control it, because you don't know yet what your tenor is. You're a tenor for sure, but you don't know yet what it is. It's more than light, that I can guarantee you. So, start that again, find the space.
etwas gar nicht nennen. Doch will ich's dir wie Feuer brennen.
Ja.
Soll die Empfindung Liebe sein? Soll die Empfindung Liebe sein?
Okay, good. So Robin, the good news, your German is excellent. There were a couple umlaut earlier, the u that, but now you got everything right. It's excellent raw material that you got, the diction is good, you were a violinist, so clearly you know what you're doing pitch-wise, rhythm, etc. is good. The only job now is to open it up. That's it, and you don't know what you're going to find, and that's the great thing. It's a fortune cookie, right? It could be a diamond inside, it could be something else, but it's going to be something drastically different than what you know. So that's the job at hand now. You're going to have to open that up and see what happens. So let's do a little bit more tongue work. Top of 63, soll die Empfindung, grab the tongue out, pull it as far as you can. Farther. Yeah. Release it now. Let's see, you swallowed back before and then it went back to that. Yeah, yeah. Stick it out. Pull it up. Farther. Yeah. Control of it now. Yes, you yelled a little bit on this one, but it's still, I mean, I've known lots of people that yelled way more than that on stage and got away with it. But there was that kind of, oh, screw it, I'm going to do it now. And I like that. That's awesome. So this is what you're going to have to find. Now, it's not only the tongue, it's also the larynx. The more you pull the tongue, the more the larynx is going to pull up a little bit, so you're going to have to do both at the same time. But once you find that open tube and that feeling that's just, you know, generously open, you're going to have a lot of fun with this. How was that? You freaked out a little bit on it, no? Well, you know, there are 3 clients that I've had that over the years, and they're all tenors, that managed in this room to finally find this open position. 3 of them broke down crying and sobbing, and then 2 of them later called me and said, this is it, I quit. 1 is now having a career. Now, the other 2 basically told me, listen, I found out what I was supposed to be, this is my neutral state, this is my tensionless state, this is good for anything I'm going to do in life, I just wanted to figure it out. They figured it out, and now they're just happy, and they didn't need the singing to do it, but they need the singing to arrive at that level. But they didn't need the singing for their lives. So it's one of those things that once you find this opening, you're going to find an incredible amount of power at your disposal. Look forward to that, because, and for everybody in this room actually, look forward to that, because this is when then you can control the world and the world does not control you anymore. And this, otherwise you're always at the mercy of people that figure out that there's a blockage somewhere and they play it, basically. And there's nothing better than having all those power in your hand, and then you can use any way you want. You want to go far, you don't want to go far, it doesn't matter. You don't need to go on stage on the mat, or you don't need, there's no benchmark except the ones you decide that make you happy, basically. But this needs to open up, and the minute you open up, there will be that feeling of it's very vulnerable. Years ago, I had a client that came from Germany, and she was here for a few weeks, and so she would come every day. And one day she came, and there was a stunning difference. And listen, I'm not Jesus. I knew it was not me. And so I said, well, what happened? What did you do last night? And then she went to see a chiropractor that worked on her jaw, basically. And I was very, very intrigued. So I asked her, can you check with the guy if it would be possible to come for a session? I want to see what he does. So, smart businessman, he just said, okay, why don't you go on the table? And then he started working, put some gloves, started working on the muscles inside the jaw. And I kid you not, I started crying like an idiot, and I could not even control it. It was one of those weird release, and I was not working through anything, or it just started streaming down, and then I got just 5 minutes. I got off the table, and it felt like I had to pick up my jaw off the floor because it was so loose. And this is what happened basically, but it's that feeling of, so there are two things that happen. For girls, if they're completely open, they feel vulnerable and they feel like someone is going to make a mess in their lives, mostly a guy making a mess in their lives. For guys, when they're not open, they have a hard time opening because they're, okay, I need to be more man-like and it's tough, it's just a flesh wound, John Wayne style. And so those are the two things that I've seen with men and women, basically, in terms of opening. Except that the ones that manage to control that opening, the world is their oyster, because they can do anything they want. And even in business, you come into a room and you see someone that's open, you know immediately that this person has power, basically, because they found something that most people have actually not found. Most people don't find that opening in their lives, throughout their lives. They don't, and they keep protecting something because it becomes the sum of a series of events that if people let go, it crumbles from the inside. So you have to assume that, and again, this is something that I've noticed through my career, everybody's holding by a tiny thread from the inside, and it's ready to crack every time. Most people go through life opening their mouth singing, expecting the worst to come out. That's just what singers do. If you manage to find, and the ones that are successful are the ones that have found that opening, basically. Then after that, it could be shrieky, it could be too loud, it could be too soft, it could be whatever. But nobody judges that because the voice is there. Italians, they do it on their own. They work the roofers, they yell from one roof to another, hey! And then they never go into vocal fry. And then eventually, they just start singing and they get successful. I have a very close friend who is a mason and a marble guy. And it comes from a long line of, and then one day someone told him, you've got a voice. And he started studying a little bit. You know what his debut role was? On a big stage in France, Nabucco. So it's, you know, here they tell you young artists, this, that. No, here the guy, boom, one of the biggest roles for tenors ever. That was his debut. He had a pretty stunning career, now took a break, but he's coming back. But that's just, you ask him about technique, he's going, why, I don't know. It's just because he was placed in an open way, because Italians basically yell at each other. So, accept basically to be a little bit yelly here and there. Alright, let's finish this. Oh, wenn Sie.
Oh, wenn ich sie nur finden könnte.
Yeah, alright. So now, can you turn to the side? Have you done that with Elisa at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so turn to the side, but leave your hips in place. Breathe as low as you can, and just one line. Don't punch every note. Yeah? What's happening?
I can't get that high.
You can't get what?
I can't get that high. Not like that.
No? Not like what?
Not like the way I'm trying to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Okay, can you go, just yell in between? Just use a little bit more energy and actually, Elisa, can you pull him a little bit?
I can.
I mean, not too hard like earlier, but I need you to relax this a little bit. Okay, so grab her.
So I'm gonna
Both
do
arms,
that.
both arms. Okay, now do the phrase oh, wenn while she pulls you.
Oh, wenn ich sie nur finden könnte, oh, wenn sie doch schon vor mir stünde, ich würde fern und rein, was wörtlich.
Okay, alright. So, what was that? How would you describe what you did at the top?
I have
You have no idea. Okay, but it was correct. So in your world, you're gonna translate that as I was screaming. In our world,
actually didn't remember screaming.
no? Okay, good. So you release the tension here because by that time you cannot involve the chest, basically. And this is one thing that none of the girls really had that problem, but make sure that you don't lean on the chest. So sometimes apply pressure here just to make sure that there is nothing that gets tense and let the breathing shift to go towards the bottom. Basically, you can have Alisa just push you on the chest and resist on it. You see it. So actually, why don't you try now?
Yeah.
So you're just gonna lean a little bit, just hold him from here. Put your hands on his chest, and then you're gonna lean on her hands. Yeah, lean, and you let her support you, hold you. Okay. Oh, wenn
Oh, wenn ich sie nur finden könnte, oh, wenn sie doch schon vor mir stünde.
Okay, so you see it went up immediately. It's because now you're releasing the chest, and it's not. There is a big difference between chest in here and chest in there, right? It's a massive difference. So you managed to take that out. You manage to take the tongue out, release that a little bit, and that's going to give you miracles. It's going to open it quite a lot. Are you out of time? Is that it? Yeah? All right.
Awesome.
Good.